All right. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehakol nהיה b'dvareh.
Amen.
Amen.
L'chaim, l'chaim, everybody. L'chaim v'bracha. Good Taval Shavua Tov, a new week, a new vitality, new life. And of course, that life comes from the Torah that gives us life. Okay, there we go. That gives us life. So we're going to speak about success tonight. The Jewish success story. From rags to riches. Right. What's your success story to share with us? Well, you know, the Jewish Irish banker, he was very successful. You know why? How come? Because their capitals always Dublin. L'chaim, l'chaim.
Ah,
I went over the head, I see. The only one that seemed to get it was Diane. Is that it? Or who else made that laugh? Oh, Alib also?
that
Okay.
was me, Elise.
The
The
only vocal one here.
Guys, I see. All right. So much for my banker friend. L'chaim.
It's a good one.
Fine.
All right. This Torah portion begins with the famous long story, the longest story in the Torah, about Yosef and his brothers, right? Yaakov triggers things by showing favoritism to Yosef. Further troubled are the brothers because of Yosef's dreams and the prediction that, they will be subservient to him. So they become quite jealous. Initially, they want to kill him, but they put him into a pit. Then they sell him off, and he's brought down to Egypt. A difficult journey, but every situation he threw him into, there was great success. Whatever it was, difficult, challenging times, he found a way to have success. So he's there by Potiphar. He becomes, Potiphar is a high-ranking minister, and Yosef is sold to him. Let's read the story about. Second. All right. Okay. Let's share. Now tell me, is this what you see? Torah studies? Yeah?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Yes, sir. Me.
Okay.
Not yet.
No, you don't see it?
Not on Zoom. Just
Yes, it is. It's Jewish success stories, Torah study.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Maybe you have to, move over.
all I see is you.
Oh,
Let's
Yeah.
try that again.
yeah, you might have had to swipe.
Hmm.
Now I see it.
Okay.
Okay, but it's not what I see.
The pink.
Not what I see.
No, it lost it.
Okay, there we go. All right. Text number one. That's what you see, text number one, yeah? No?
That's what I see.
Yeah, I see text 1 with the pink frame. No, it just disappeared.
Yeah, it's going to disappear for a moment. Give me a second. What do you see over here now? No.
What I see on Zoom is you. Live.
Right. No, this is. Oh la la. Okay. Okay, let's see what happens now. What do you see over here?
Torah studies. Yeah.
No.
Yes, now I
I know. The problem is here at Chabad. It's
Oh.
not extending. My apologies, folks.
Okay. If it's okay for them, we can follow by listening to you.
Okay, we'll give it one more chance here. Display settings. Should be 1, 2. Let's see, we say show only 1. Will happen.
So,
No. Back. Duplicate these. Was it showing there?
you're sharing your screen or the tab?
Okay, that's sharing here.
So you're sharing your screen. Because
That's
there's
it.
an option screen or tab.
Okay, let's see what happens now.
Yeah, see here. Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's good.
Number 1, you have the. Okay.
see it on Zoom.
Okay. Sorry for the challenge over here. Oh boy. Okay. Okay. Now Joseph had been brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, Pharaoh's chamberlain, chief of the slaughterers, an Egyptian man, purchased him from the Ishmaelites who had brought him down there. God was with Joseph, and he was a successful man. He was in the house of the Egyptian master, and his master saw that God was with him. Whatever Joseph did, God made prosper in his hands. Whatever Joseph did, right? God made prosper in his hand. And Joseph found favor in his eyes, and Joseph served him. And Potiphar appointed him over the house, and all that he gave into his hands. Now it came to pass that since he had appointed him over his house and over all of the he had, God blessed the house of the Egyptian for Joseph's sake, and the blessing of God was in all of that he had, in the house and in the field, so that he left all that he had in Joseph's hands, and he knew nothing about what was with him except the bread that he ate. And Joseph was handsome features and a beautiful complexion. So tremendously successful. That leads to promotion, to more success. Chief of staff. He oversees everything, so much so that he's in charge in full trust. He doesn't even have to report back about anything. That's how successful he is. So the Abarbanel explains this is what is meant by when it says that Potiphar left all that he had in Joseph's hands. Potiphar stopped keeping track entirely. That's the meaning that he knew nothing about what was with him. Earlier, it was Potiphar appointed him over his house and all that he gave into his hand, meaning entrusted him with managing the storage and the resources, but still kept tabs and expected regular reports. But once Potiphar saw Joseph's success and integrity, he gave up all the oversight. Potiphar no longer required any accounting from Joseph at all. But then things got worse because Potiphar's wife tried to seduce Yosef and made false accusations. He was put into prison. And there things again turn around. He makes an impression right over everybody in the entire prison facility, and he's overseeing everybody in the facility. As the verse says, God was with Yosef, and he extended charisma to him, and he gave him favor in the eyes of the warden of the prison. So the prison warden delivered all the prisoners who were in the prison in Yosef's hands. And whatever they did there, Yosef was the one who did it. The prison warden did not inspect anything that was in Yosef's hand, for God was with him. And whatever he did, God was successful. Any question over here? Any question? Well, should be.
Are we supposed to?
I think so. Well, what does it mean God was successful? What does that mean? Right? To say that God was with Yosef that we get, right? Right? So what does it mean that God is successful? How do we understand that? How do we deal with that, right? The shift in the language. First, if God was with Yosef, that we get, right? But now it's saying that God himself was successful. Well, first of all, where's Yosef then? Well, it wasn't Yosef, it was God. How do we understand that? Whose success was it, Yosef's or God's? That's the question.
Well,
Clear?
maybe God was going, that was Joseph was doing what God meant him to do, and he was having success. I mean, God had planted that way of being where he was and whatever journeys he was making, whatever significance he was making, God was handling it, putting it in putting certain things in his place.
Okay, but why the change in language? That doesn't explain a change in language. And what is the
Well,
distinction between them? Right?
right. God.
Okay. Anyways, we don't need to
Yeah.
answer. We'll come. The Rebbe is going to answer for us. That's why we're so lucky we get the Rebbe Sichos, right? That he can answer for us. So, to answer the question, first we have to understand the term God's success. What does that even mean, right? So, anything that anything and everything in this world, right, that happens in this world is God's blessings. So it's God's blessings, it's his success, right? Whether it's the fields that grow properly and produce crop, whether it's money that we earn, right? Or a store that has customers that they attract, customers to buy things. Or for that matter, it doesn't have to be just work. It could be a new invention, a discovery, or whatever it might be in life. Whatever success a person has, it's God's blessings. As the wisest of all men declared this in Mishlei, in Proverbs, God's blessing will bring riches, the toil will add nothing to it. What does that mean? That nothing will be added to it. Well, let's see. The Metzudas David says God's blessing, success comes directly from God. When God gives his blessing, it brings true wealth to a person. And with the blessing, there's no need for added toil or stress to chase after more. The blessing itself is enough. So we're expected to work and to act for God's blessings to materialize, right? And to make
Make a vessel.
to make a vessel, right? But we have to remember, fashioning the vessel isn't the blessing, because all a vessel does is a container. The blessing is what's inside the vessel. Oh, like, in the morning it's some coffee, late afternoon some l'chaim, and right now some water. So would anybody say that the cup is a blessing? No, the cup contains the blessing, right? So is your work the blessing? No, but it is the container for God's blessing. If you can let in someone waiting to get in. Thank you. Right? Does that make sense? So let's see further. Oops. As we say in the book of Dvarim, Deuteronomy, you shall not be troubled when I will send him free from you, for twice as much as a hired servant, he has served you 6 years, and God will bless you in all that you do. Right? So here are the keys. These are the key words. That blessed you will be from God Almighty in all that you do, right? So we have a paradox over here, right? You got to do something, but your doing is not what accomplishes. Your doing, again, is making the vessel, right? As Foyle said, and it's God's blessing that yields the success. Right? As the measure says, perhaps you can sit around all day and do nothing. The verse says, in all that you do. As you have to do, right? But your actions will not necessarily yield results. Because ultimately those results are in the hands of God. So Chassidus explains we act like a agent, if you will, an emissary, right? To facilitate the space for God's blessings. That they should be brought down in this physical reality. Well, let's give a simple example for that. The sun, right, gives us energy, gives us light, gives us life. Why don't we serve it if it gives us so much? How come? Because it's only a tool in the hands of God, right? The sun has no capacity to do anything on its own. God gives it its capacity. It is only a tool in the hands of God, right? Or another term is that, the hatchet, the axe doesn't fell the tree. It's the person who's the axeman that fells the tree. The axe is merely the tool that is used, but it has no power of its own. The power is that of the axeman, right? He's the one who fells the tree. The sun has no power of its own, even though it seems, and here's where an axeman, we get that clearly. We know that tree didn't come down because of the axe, right? We know that. That's clear. The sun, we're not so clear because we don't see the axeman. We don't see the one who's powering the sun. So therefore, we attribute, and that's why there was idolatry, and even today people are idolatrous of it, maybe not serving and bowing down to it, but like, oh, okay, Mr. Sun, come out already, right? So we attribute to it because we don't see the axeman behind who's giving the power to the sun. The sun has no power of its own. Right?
We're not dependent on the sun, we're dependent on Hashem to give power to it.
Exactly. So here's a third level that makes it a little more difficult. Our work. Because we feel we contributed something. The axe contributed nothing. Except being an axe. Right? On its own, it could do nothing. Right? An axe sitting there, a tree is sitting there, nothing's happening. That's very clear. The sun, it's not so clear. But then when we understand that the sun didn't create itself, so it didn't imbue itself with its own power, just as the axe doesn't give itself power, So we understand there's a power behind that, so that we can get a little bit, oh, okay, God's in control. But the problem is the third level. What do you mean? I worked 8 hours. I worked out the sweat of my brow. Exactly. I worked hard. So there it gets a little trickier. But in the end, why is that different than the sun? Why is that different than the axe? It's not. It's not ultimately. We perceive it to be different. We perceive it to be different, right? But and there is where the paradox comes in, is that God says, hey, do something. I'll bless you in all that you do. So the sun isn't doing anything, and the axe isn't doing anything, right? The axe isn't doing anything. It's sitting there. It can't do anything. The axeman picks it up. Oh, now it can do something, right? We get that. The sun isn't doing anything. It's been empowered with that power by God, right? The difference is here, oh, I'm doing something. So obviously, I've got some part in this. Do we? So what are we saying? So there seems to be a contradiction over here, but really what it is, in the end, all we're doing is creating a vessel that the blessing should be contained. Now, why would that be? We'll get to, we'll understand a bit later, right? But the fact is, all I'm doing is creating a vessel. Let's see the Rebbe Rashab as he explains this in Chassidus. Exactly. Crops grow through the sun and the moon, but these are only messengers of divine influence. They have no power to help or harm on their own. They function only by God's will. Same is true with the work and livelihood. The job is only a garment, a vehicle. The actual sustenance comes from God. Yes, you're working, but that's a garment, or the cup that you're creating, the vessel, right? The Jew never sees his business itself as a source of income. He or she knows with certainty that it's God who provides, and the business is just a channel through which the blessings come. So, if I didn't have this cup, I would not have the blessing of water that would fill this cup. So I have to make a vessel. I have to fashion a vessel in order that I could channel God's blessings to be contained in the container that I make. Does that make sense? Right? So, we would think the human condition would tell us, and the false narrative would say, 1 plus 1 equals 2. 1, me, plus 1, God, equals 2, success. Everybody needs God in their life to have success, right? That's a mistake. Because not 1 plus 1 equals 2, right? No, it's just 1. It's just God working through me. He's working through me. But it's not me that made it happen, right? So a doctor, a policeman, a farmer, a businessman, they're only God's agents, and they're only privileged to fulfill to carry out God's work. It's God's work. They're just the vessel, the conduit, the agent that it's coming through.
The vessel precedes the blessing.
Well, because the verse says, I will bless you in all that you do. So you have to do to receive the blessing. You have to create the container to fill the container. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. Okay. Okay, so now we can understand what it means God was successful, right? Any sort of achievement is really God's doings. It is the product of his blessings, and therefore it's his success. It's not our success, it's his success, right? So Yosef's success or God's success, which one is it? Well, it's really both. Yosef's efforts, but the true results of success are a blessing from above, right? What does success mean? Success means if you got what you expected, that's not real success. No, if you got beyond what you expected, that's success. That's true success, beyond your expectations. Because what you expect is based on what nature would give you, right? What are you expecting? You're you're expecting today. It's you're expecting that Black Friday is today, or it's the week. It's coming after Black Friday, and there is so much sales and so on, and we know that we're expecting a 10% increase. So so on and so forth. So the fact that you got what you expected is not true success, because that's limited based on what you kind of envisioned. True success is above and beyond. Above and beyond. Okay? And the truth is, when think about it for a moment, how often did we personally do something that we put a lot of effort and achieved no success? How often did we do something that was minimal effort and achieved much success? So we kind of see that it's out of our hands. Previous Rebbe said, Hatzlacha is the kind of success that comes from mazel, something higher than logic. It shows up not only in spiritual matters, but in business, home life, and the work in the field. As our sages say, a person never really knows which effort will bring profit. Thank you. We see this from all the time, right? Some people make choices that seem completely unreasonable, yet everything turns out better than expected. Others follow every rule, plan with care, think through each step, and still come up short. Real success flows from a place beyond reason. Come in, come in. Huh? With the doorbell, we don't hear up here, only in the office. No one's in the office right now. So unlock the middle door. Okay. So now let's see how this relates to Yosef. So Yosef's, what was his success? It was beyond all imagination. You're a slave, right? You're coming up from a far-off land. You're a nobody. Not only you're a slave, you have no family. You have no one to think, no one thinking about you as far as you're, as far as you know. And that he should be successful from coming from such a place is not something that would be expected. But who's a man who could do no wrong and make everything happen. Right? So what's his secret? What was his secret that he was able to have this unbridled godly success? Right? There's something here above and beyond. Right? And even in his success, we will see that it wasn't static. His growth wasn't static, otherwise that's not growth, right? As we will see, he evolves in the years that he's in Egypt. It shifts. Remember, when he came to Egypt, he was 17 years old, right? So in each stage of his life, he's growing. There's a journey.
Sold by his brothers. Yeah.
Right? There's a journey, there's a growth. So let's appreciate that. Remember, we had a question? What was our question? When it speaks about his success, first it was God helped him to be successful. And in the end, it was God's success. How do we understand that? So if he was not someone who was growing in his faith in God, in his trust in God, his commitment and connection to God, so then everything would be static and it would have been as it was originally, right? That what? The normal manner of that everything you do, God's with you, right? There's a sense of me doing the work that I need to do. As the verse says, that God will bless you in everything you do. So there's got to be me doing. There's got to be a me there. But in the end, don't get carried away with me, right? Because yes, you made a beautiful goblet, but if you ain't got the wine in it and the wine overflowing, what do you got? Some water. Right? What did you accomplish? You accomplished nothing. Because a goblet without the wine, a cup without the water, all right, a lot of effort, but not success. But over time, he's growing in this idea. And this truth becomes more real and vivid for him to such a manner that at one point, he doesn't even see himself as being a conduit for God and to create a vessel for God's blessings. All he senses is God's blessings, not even his involvement. He puts himself aside so much. He is mivatal bittul, self-effacement. Then even in fashioning the vessel, he doesn't feel, well, I got to make the vessel. I got to, No. He doesn't feel that. Why not? Because all he feels is the source of blessing and not him as even being the conduit for blessing. That's quite a level, right? It became so internalized, so one with him, this idea that it's all from God. It became so clear, right? The Baal Shem Tov once had to collect money for a family that was incarcerated. And back in the day, it happened so often, the Jews were, taken and thrown into a dungeon for the terrible, sin of not paying maybe their rent on time because it was a tough time, or sometimes even less than that. So he's collecting, and sometimes it was, for no reason at all. And he knocks on a door of a wealthy Jew, of a wealthy chassid, and he walks away. The Jew comes to the door, the chassid comes to the door, and sees the Baal Shem Tov, and he's walking away. So he runs after him. Rebbe, you knocked on my door and you walked away. Says, yeah, I'm collecting money for a family that is, So why'd you walk away? Says, well, listen, it says God will bless you in everything that you do. So I did. I did what I had to do. I knocked on the door. That's all. So the Baal Shem Tov recognized that the blessing that will come, the monies that he needs to get, it's not his sweet talk that's going to do it. It's not going to be his effort that's going to do it. He just needs to knock on the door, and for him to walk away, that was enough effort, and the blessing will come. He says, Rebbe, here's the money, no problem. right? This is no problem, right? No problem. And we can understand this idea. In Jewish law, there's an interesting idea. So on Shabbos, for example, if you willfully open a light on Shabbos, right? You willfully open up for a Jew to willfully open a light up on Shabbos is a transgression. If you did it, you forgot that it was Shabbos, then it's what we call a shoygig, unintentional. And that's when you bring an offering, a sin offering. Because in the end, that's not an excuse, right? To forget. You should be mindful. It's Shabbos, you don't open the light. But so you bring a sin offering, right? What happens if someone pushed you and you hit the light and it went off? What's the law? It's called oinus. It's called forced, coerced. In a sense, coerced. I mean, you're more coerced, like, willfully go, right? You're coerced, you're forced. And the law is, you are not obliged. You did nothing wrong. So, one of the commentators explains it's more than you did nothing wrong. It's as if you did nothing. It's as if it happened on its own, right? As we look at it in such a way, in the end, you did push it, right? Good, but someone pushed you, and it was it wasn't unintentional. It was more than unintentional. Unintentional is I didn't realize it was Shabbos, right? That was unintentional sin. You are mindful that itself is not good, right? But so you're not. But here it's even more. You're coerced. So one of the commentators explains, right, that it's as if you did nothing. Right. So here the Rebbe takes this idea and says by Yosef, when we reach this second verse, he had grown already. The first verse is that God helped him. He's successful. He did. God's there for him. He's successful. The second time is it's God's success, not even him. Why? He didn't even see himself as a messenger. He didn't feel that it's even him playing a role. All that he saw was that he's there to unfold something greater than him. This is a shift in awareness. The Rebbe says, Shkoyach, came for a Mariv. Beautiful. So, do I have the right one here? Tell me if number 9?
No.
Number 9? Number 9. Okay. And we want even after a person reaches a place where they are totally given over to God, there's still a reality of his own hand, their personal effort. That's why the success God gives flows through the person's hand. It's divine success, but it shows up in a way that matches the person's own action and effort. As the more you feel you're involved in creating the vessel, the more you limit the vessel. The more you feel that you are not involved, not that you're not doing, you're doing, but you're not feeling me. I'm creating something here. And it's God's blessing that will fill the vessel. I didn't even create. Come, ladies, come join us. Come, join us. L'chaim. Sit. We none of us bite. You know that already. Oh, look at proof. It's just a proof of what we're talking about, right? Exactly. So this is a shift, right? That the Rebbe is speaking about. That in the first instance, I'm there. I've got my action. There's a sense of my engagement, right? We feel the value of it. And that itself is a limitation.
Self-consciousness.
Well, it's self-awareness, more self-awareness. Then comes when Joseph was put into prison, it brought out in him a complete loss of self to God. He became like nothing. That's why the success he experienced came in a form that whatever he did, God was successful. A kind of success where you can see right away that it's not human effort, it's clearly God's hand. Yes, the verse still connects the success of Joseph's own hand and actions. Whatever he did, God was successful. But because Joseph was in a state of such deep loss of self, like a prisoner with no personal identity, his hand hadn't taken up any space at all. So the success that came through him wasn't limited by the usual bounds of human effort. It was something entirely godly, beyond nature altogether, to the point that you didn't even sense Joseph's hand anymore. Only God was making the success. Whoa. And that's why the difference in language. He was so self-effaced. So it's not me, that he is only a conduit, not even sensing his value in creating the vessel. And with this, I want to give over a quick story that I told over on Shabbos. You heard this on Shabbos, but the folks over here didn't hear it, and you want to hear this amazing story. So I'm going to tell it in a very brief and quick way. Daniel Adler was in Tel Aviv a few weeks ago, and he was in a Chabad synagogue, and he was asked for some books on Hasidus. He was very intense about getting these books to study. So the rabbi asked him, what is it that you're so eager? He didn't look like a Chabadnik, that it was something so important, so valuable to him. So he explained to him, let me tell you a story. I was raised in Brazil, and I went to yeshiva there. Rabbi Ben Yamini was the head of the yeshiva, a great man. And I was, very committed and very religious, pious Jew. But then I went off to university, and I met a non-Jewish girl, and I was taken. I was still with a kippah and studying Torah, but I was taken, and I was very confused. I didn't know what to do. So I decided I'm going to go back to Brazil, to Sao Paulo, to my father, and to speak with him. I came there, and my father was out of town, and the only one that was there was my stepmother. So I unloaded her and explained to her what was going on, and she was, taken by this and didn't know how to respond. Part two of the story. A great rabbi, Chabad, who went through Russia and, under Stalin's rule, Reb Nota Barkan, he comes 1987, Shavuos holiday to the Rebbe. And before the holiday, the Rebbe was giving out dollars on a Sunday, and he goes, and the Rebbe was very much connected with him, gave him blessings, gave him a blessing for his son, gave him an extra $1, and he felt a very, closeness to the Rebbe. He was there for Shavuos, and then after Shavuos, he went for the next Sunday to get dollars, and then Rebbe, he just gave him $1 and gave him bracha b'atzlacha, and that was it. Kind of, as he's almost about to leave, the secretary calls him back to come back, and the Rebbe says to him, "Are you going to Brazil?" Now, he was not going to Brazil. He probably didn't even know where Brazil exactly is on the map, but he's a chassid, and he just catches him. He says, "Of course, I'm going to Brazil. Yes." He walks out. He didn't know what, but he makes a ticket immediately to go to Brazil. He doesn't know why he's going, what he's going for, what he's supposed to do there. Nothing. He's just going to Brazil. On the plane, he meets Rabbi Zion, a Chabad rabbi. He asks him, "Where are you going?" He says, "I don't know why I'm going, but I'm going because I have to do something for the Rebbe in Brazil." He says, "Where are you staying?" He says, "I'm staying by you." He says, "Oh, with pleasure." Hey, he comes to him into his home. This is 1987, right? A long time ago, this story. And he He gives him a list of people in the community that, maybe you could start with to phone somebody, see what he knows. And he says he knows the woman from Leningrad that he knew from way back. So he gives her a call. Oh, very surprised that he's here. Well, he must have come for a simcha. See, for sure I came for a simcha, but I don't know which simcha yet. And he tells the story of what the Rebbe said. So she says, she's silent for a moment. So, you know what? Come here. I have someone I want you to meet. He comes, they speak a few moments. She slips out, and Daniel Adler walks in, the young man. It's her stepson. And so he starts speaking to him. He sees that he's scholarly, but he sees something's a little off. So finally, he breaks down and he tells him about what's going on, that it's this non-Jewish girl and so on and so forth. They bring for a few hours. That's it. He's off. He's breaking up. He's not going to see her again. Finished. Everything is good. That was, he spends their Shabbos. After Shabbos, he comes to him and he says to him, it's not good enough. They bring further. It's not good enough. You have a great void. You need to find the Jewish girl. I'm not leaving here till you find the Jewish girl. Says, who do you know? So they're talking further, and he looks. There was a girl for a few years ago that I liked, but I was too embarrassed to ask her out. Says, well, okay, so go find her, ask her out. Says, Rabbi, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. So what? You're going. Guess what? He went. He went, found the girl. An hour later, comes back to the house. They go out for the next few days. And before he leaves, they're getting engaged. It's a true story. True story. They're getting engaged. It says right into the Rebbe for a bracha. Wrote in, and within 2 hours, he got an answer back. The Rebbe's bracha. So, and here he is telling this rabbi friend, my friend's nephew. He's telling the story too. And here I am. This is 1987, right? He's a happily married father and now a grandfather of many children. And here he is. And therefore, there will not be a day that goes by that I will not study Chassidus. Thanks for the Rebbe saving my life. Or my angel that came to me, Rabbi Nota Barkan. Amazing, unbelievable story. Now, what was the greatness of the story? Is not the Rebbe. The Rebbe, it's nothing. But the Chassid, that in a flash, yes, I'm going to Brazil. All he saw was that he's nothing. He didn't even create a vessel. When you think about it, he didn't even create a vessel. He's the second level that we just spoke about, of that God's success. His success was so formidable. No one could do that. You know how he did it? Because he wasn't there. Because if you were there, if the Rebbe would ask you, what would you do? What? Is it Brazil? You would no. He says, yes, I'm going to Brazil right away. Then he's not anxious. Where am I staying? He's not anxious. What am I supposed to do? Who's that when you're anxious? There's me there, right? That would be normal. There's no me there. There's no me there. All there is a mission that I got to fulfill. That's what we just spoke about. God's success. And therefore, that's real success. How do you take somebody who's confused and has a love for a non-Jewish girl and is ready to marry her, right? Or considering strongly to do it, and you change that person around? Not only that, they get engaged with a Jewish girl while you're still there. That is what we were talking about over here. That's the story. That's the story of what it means, the second level, God's success, that we are not there and therefore we could do miraculous things that we never thought we could do. And that's what true success is, as you do things that you never imagined, right? Not because you did it, because you put yourself aside. You ain't there. Because if you're there, then you're anxious. If you're there, you're making calculations. If you're there, you're figuring it out. You're figuring nothing. He's going. Obviously, it's going to unfold. And when it unfolds, we'll see God, what he does. That's it, folks. Thank you very much. Unbelievable. L'chaim.